Wow, guys, Hakeem Jeffries gets shut down this whole entire interview. You gotta check this video out.
Good morning. Great to be with you.
It's great to have you here. Let's start on the government shutdown, now the longest in U.S. history. Leader Jeffries, do you believe that your colleagues in the Senate are close to reaching a deal and ending this shutdown?
Well, we need to end the Trump Republican shutdown, the longest shutdown, of course, in American history. And as Democrats, we've repeatedly maintained that we will sit down anytime, any place with anyone in order to reopen the government, to find a bipartisan path forward to enacting a spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the
Wow.
American people, which means trying to drive down the high cost of living, because America under Donald Trump and Republican policies has become far too expensive, while at the same time dealing with the Republican healthcare crisis that threatens to drive up premiums, copays, and deductibles to levels that will be unaffordable for working class Americans because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Really quick, guys, I don't mean to pause the video so early, but they want to sit there and call this a Trump shutdown, a Trump Republican shutdown. I think the Democrats are holding the economy hostage because they can't stand to see America win. I don't know if Hakeem Jeffries knows, inflation didn't start at Mar-a-Lago. It started once the Democrats thought printing money was a solution. You can't spend trillions and trillions of dollars, ship jobs overseas, and then once Trump gets in office, you're mad 12 eggs are $12. Let's keep going, guys.
Well, Leader Jeffries, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer did make a new offer, effectively saying, let's extend Obamacare subsidies for 1 year in exchange for reopening the government for 1 year. You have said that you would support that proposal, but just last month you said this. Take a look.
A 1-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits is not acceptable. It's a non-starter. It's a non-starter.
So, Leader Jeffries, what changed?
Well, the proposal that I was making reference to in October was something that was floated out there by a handful of rank-and-file House Republicans, and that was immediately rejected by House Republican leadership because they have no interest in driving down the high cost of living for everyday Americans. The Schumer proposal, of course, was offered in good faith. It's both a 1-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Now we're already in the middle of the open enrollment period. Tens of millions of people are on the brink of facing dramatically increased health care costs that in some cases could be $1,000 or $2,000 per month. That is unaffordable for middle-class Americans, working-class Americans, and everyday Americans. And the Schumer proposal also provides a path toward bipartisan negotiations for a multi-year extension, which would provide the type of certainty that the American people need.
Well, as you know, Republican leader John Thune has called it a non-starter. Let me ask you, would you support a bill that would include a promise to vote on extending Obamacare subsidies? Is that something you could live with?
Let's understand that these Republicans have tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act more than 70 different times over the last 15 years. They're not acting in good faith as it relates to dealing with a health care crisis that they're visiting on the American people. This is the same group of folks who just enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history as part of their one big ugly bill. Hospitals and nursing homes and community-based health centers are closing all across the country, including in rural America, because of Republican policies. We're faced with the possibility of a $536 billion cut to Medicare at the end of this year if Congress doesn't act, connected to what they did in the one big ugly bill. And now they're refusing to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for even a year, when they just enacted massive permanent tax breaks for their billionaire donors. Does that seem reasonable? Is that the type of policy that the American people are screaming out for, as evidenced by what just happened with Republicans being wiped out in the general election last Tuesday?
Leader Jeffries, just very quickly, yes or no, do you rule out supporting a bill that would include a promise to vote on Obamacare subsidies? Yes or no?
I don't think that the House Democratic Caucus
from the question.
is prepared to support a promise a wing and a prayer from folks who have been devastating the health care of the American people for years.
All right, let's talk about the impacts. You mentioned them of this government shutdown. They're being felt across the country. Hundreds of flights, as you know, have been canceled this weekend across major airports. The lines are growing longer outside of food banks, and there's a lot of uncertainty about food assistance programs, which currently hang in the balance right now, in limbo. Leader Jeffries, is it responsible for Democrats to continue to push for a better deal and to not reopen the government, given that people are suffering right now?
Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Donald Trump, from the very beginning of his term, has taken a my way or the highway approach. That's not reasonable. It's not reasonable for Donald Trump to withhold intentionally SNAP benefits from 42 million Americans, including more than 1 million veterans who are at risk of going hungry a few days from us honoring the veterans of this country who have sacrificed with their bravery and their courage. It's not reasonable for Republicans to devastate the health care of the American people, to find $40 billion, as they did a few weeks ago, to bail out their right-wing dictator friend in Argentina, but can't find a dime to make health care affordable for the American people. Listen, as Democrats, we want to find a bipartisan path forward. We want to reopen the government. We're also fighting to drive down the high cost of living. Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs aren't going down. Costs are going up. Housing costs through the roof, grocery costs through the roof, electricity bills are skyrocketing, and now we're on the brink of health care insurance premiums dramatically increasing, devastating working class Americans. None of that is acceptable.
Listen to this guy.
We need to find a viable path forward.
But Leader Jeffries, for the people who are suffering right now and who are quite frankly concerned about how they are going to put food on the table over this holiday season, how long can they expect this shutdown to continue? Can you guarantee that you will reopen the government before Thanksgiving?
We need to resolve this immediately. And here are two things
You
that
think
can
it'll
be done.
You gotta really be scared of a guy like this. A person that could run away from the question over and over and over and over again. He said yes or no. And then he goes, da da da. He went on a little 5-minute rant. I know you guys are getting tired of this, but he doesn't want to answer the question because this guy knows. Use the economy as a bargaining chip. He's putting the Americans at risk right here. That's exactly what he's doing. He's putting the Americans at risk. You know, Thanksgiving's going to come around. It's going to be a lot of people that need to be fed, and I hope these people wise up.
Happen before Thanksgiving, Leader? You think it'll happen before Thanksgiving?
Well, one, Donald Trump, I hope so. Donald Trump needs to get off the golf course and get back to the negotiating table. He spent more time golfing over the last several weeks than he has talking to Democrats who represent half the country as part of an effort to find a bipartisan path forward. And by the way,
Trump has been negotiating peace deals, trade deals. Meanwhile, you're on TV blaming him for your own failures. Let's get one thing straight really quick. Hakeem Jeffries, let's get it straight. You guys don't want this guy to show up to the table. You don't want him to show up to the table because every time he shows up to the table, he wins. And that's exactly why they're doing everything possible.
we also know that House Republicans have literally canceled votes for the last 6 weeks. They've been on vacation, and they have no plans to return next week. We'll be in Washington as House Democrats, ready, willing, and able to reopen the government, to make life better for the American people, and to address the health care crisis that has been devastating the country.
Leader Jeffries, President Trump floated what he believes is a potential solution to this online. Let me read it to you. He says, quote, "I am recommending to Senate Republicans that the hundreds of billions of dollars currently being sent to money-sucking insurance companies in order to save the bad health care provided by Obamacare be sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care." Would you ever support giving subsidies directly to the American people instead of Obamacare?
Well, we have a broken health care system, but the Affordable Care Act has been part of actually providing health insurance to tens of millions of Americans. Of course, there's always opportunity to improve current policy that exists. But Republicans aren't operating in good faith as it relates to doing anything to actually make health care more affordable. And we've seen that repeatedly over the last several weeks. Now, if Donald Trump is changing his tune and is actually willing to sit down and negotiate a bipartisan path forward, of course we are interested in doing that. We've been making that point for the last several weeks.
What do you make of that proposal online, though? Does it sound like he's interested in doing that?
I mean, it's hard to take these online things seriously. There's no actual legislation, there's no text, there's no policy documents to be able to review. If that exists, if that somehow materializes and manifests itself in the next day or so, we look forward to reviewing it in good faith.
All right.
They keep saying they're fighting for the working class, but when you see who's really paying the price, it's always the workers. Trump didn't break America. He just exposed who's really running it. Let me know what you guys think about this quick video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and as always, let me know what to react to. We're out.